reminder that the Democrat Party and woke corporations think black people and brown people are too stupid or too helpless to have a photo ID to vote. Hello once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Angela Box. You're watching Angela's Soapbox, where I always say what you were thinking. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, liking or rumbling this video, commenting on this video, and of course sharing this video, especially with your filthy leftist friends, because they truly hate my guts, and for me that's a badge of honor. Okay, so we're all waiting with bated breath for the Epstein list to be released, for the Diddy list to be released. And let's just give it and then there's this curious case of the Brigette Macron thing, which if you're not watching Candace's deep dive into Brigette Macron, stop this video and start watching that and come back later. It's fascinating, you guys. Like, that's a man, baby. But anyway, there's a lot of weird connections with all of that. And the world is, you know, waiting with bated breath for the Epstein list to come out. And let's just give the sea turtle killing plastic straw to just all the people who might be on it. Rumored. I'm going to say a few names that are rumored to be on the list. Whether it turns out to be true, oh well, like, we'll find out. Okay. Okay. So, remember how the Democrats said that, you know, they're going to bring dignity and decency back to the White House with Joe Biden. And of course, it was one freak show parade after another with their DEI crap, with their transgender, everybody shoving it in our faces 24/7. The crazy tranny that flashed his boobies at the Pride Day festival at the White House Rose Garden, like all the things they did. That Cooper the intern, hi Cooper, I'm Cooper the intern. The weirdo the head of the head of the nuclear facilities, the Stephen Britton, who looked like something out of just a nightmare that you would scare children with. Of course, Dr. Rachel Levine, who was in charge of our health in the country. Like, so many things that, you know, they're just like, I mean, what Trump is doing is just unbelievable what he's doing. Like, all these unqualified people that he's putting in charge of our government. Anyway, so I think we're another bucket. I think that Cash and now Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi are going to be looking at is, of course, the Diddy list and the Epstein list. And they need to make sure, I think they're doing their due diligence. They need to make sure that these people, because a friend of mine said this last weekend, we were having dinner with a friend of mine and her husband, and the husband, he had a good point. He was like, listen, you know, I want these people to be held accountable too, but we need to make sure that the people that were on this list actually did things with minors, because it could just be someone in his address book. Like, we don't want to unfairly malign people unless we know that they actually did things. And I think that that's probably what the holdup is here. They've got to make sure, they've got to connect the dots. But I said to him, and Fred agrees with me. He said, I think that you've got to understand that the reason they're having a meltdown over this is because they've realized, too late, of course, that Jeffrey Epstein was probably an agent of some government, whether it's our government, whether it's Israel's government. And I think probably P. Diddy was the same thing. I think that they used Epstein to get those, you know, politicians and business leaders and people like that. And maybe they used P. Diddy to get the entertainment people and the rappers and everything like that. Get those people under control because they have blackmail on them. And most of us think that the reason Epstein was allowed to flourish as long as he did flourish is because at the Epstein Island was, of course, lots and lots of recording material and lots of tapes of people doing God knows what with children or people who are underage. And I think that that's the reason, obviously, that this has not been leaked before now, because there's so many people on it, and most of them will be Democrats or most of them will be leftists. I mean, I'm sure there's some Republicans on there too. Don't get me wrong, the swamp is deep and wide, but I would imagine that the majority of this is Democrats, obviously. Now, here's some of the names that, of course, are rumored to be on the Epstein client list. Actually, this is actually confirmed. Bill Gates has flown to Epstein Island. Bill Clinton has flown to Epstein Island. There's rumors that Chrissy Teigen might be on the list. And when you look at her former tweets before she started deleting everything, it was very, very odd. Talking a lot about just really unseemly things about kids. And then she posts, like the other week, she posts a picture of herself. She's a woman who's, I don't know how old she is, in her late 30s, early 40s, with her 3 young children. She's naked in a bathtub with her 3 young children, one of whom looks like to be about 8 years old, which is entirely inappropriate at that age. It's weird enough to be bathing with your children, like all 3 of them, but then to like post about it and to like, it's weird, okay? And yes, women can also be sexual predators. I don't know. I think that's strange. There's lots of people who are suspected to be on this list, and maybe for the sake of not getting sued, I'm just going to say that there's a lot of people very, very nervous in Washington, D.C. and around the world, because when Tony Busby, who's the lawyer for the plaintiffs in the P. Diddy case, when he came out and he started telling on Jay-Z squawked and screamed and had a meltdown, but notice he hasn't been squawking and screaming lately, and I would imagine that Tony Busby is working very diligently behind the scenes to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And I do not think that he would have laid out that Jay-Z might have a problem with an underage girl if he didn't have the receipts to prove it. So this is what we're going to be watching for. We're going to be watching how quick is this thing going to get released. Trump promised to do it. Cash wants to do it. Bondi says it's on her desk. Pam Bondi said during CPAC, it's on my desk for imminent release. So I think they're just making sure that there's nobody innocent wrapped up in this. Because again, unless you're in that world, some people may have had financial dealings with Epstein or social interactions with Epstein, not necessarily the fetishes that other people had. So let's make sure before we release the whole list to make sure that it's fair and the people that are actually released did unseemly things. That's what we're looking for. Now, to this Brigette Macron thing, because there is a tie to an Epstein tie to it, as Candace rightfully pointed out. Evidently, Emmanuel Macron, turns out, looks like he might just be like a literal Manchurian candidate. And this whole thing, y'all, it's a rabbit hole. I'm not even going to try and do what Candace has done justice because it was so good. And the journalist that she's talking about, Pousseau, I think that's his name. He's French. He's done just amazing work in his book, Becoming Brigitte, which I think I'm going to have to buy. I think I'm going to have to buy it and actually read a book. I haven't read a book in a long time. I used to be such a good reader, but now, because of stupid YouTube and streaming and TV all the time, and I never read. But I think I'm going to read that book. Maybe I'll get the audiobook. But anyway, what you need to know is that Candace Owens has not been sued, and this journalist has not been sued. And the contention, of course, is that Brigette Macron she took the identity of her little sister, and she is actually a man named Jean-Michel Trogneau. It is a rabbit hole of all rabbit holes. And like I said, the Rothschilds are involved in this. The Rothschild family is involved in this, who are connected to Epstein. There's a lot of very strange pedophilia and incest overtones to this. It's crazy. So at the very least, let's just say Brigette Macron is a woman, which I do not think she is, okay? I think it's a dude. I think it's her brother. There's too much smoke. And watch the series if you don't believe me, okay? But let's just pretend that Brigette Macron is who she said she is, and she is a woman, and this is all crazy, right? At the very least, she's a pedophile, okay? Because the whole lie they told you was that Emmanuel Macron was this brilliant kid, and he was just this like Mozart, when it turns out, no, he actually wasn't. He was kind of a dullard. And again, just kind of placed in different scenarios and slots, and he worked for the Rothschild Bank, and they basically promoted him when he wasn't. He was like a dum-dum, and people were like, why is this guy getting promoted all the time? And then all of a sudden, he's able to run for the president of France, and it's a lot. But anyway, let's just pretend that the woman is who she says she is, that Brigette Macron is actually a woman. At the very least, again, she's a pedophile, because when she met Emmanuel Macron and started the relationship with him, he was 14 years old and she was 39 years old. And evidently in France, the statute of limitations on this runs out this year. So Candace's contention, and the journalist's contention that she's been working with, is that when Emmanuel Macron steps down, when he is finally forced to quit, that there's going to be a massive investigation into all of this. And that's when a lot of stuff is going to be revealed. Now, whether or not it'll happen where this person, Brigette Macron, will be held accountable for basically molesting a 14-year-old boy when she was 39 remains to be seen. I think he's going to hold on kicking and screaming until that statute of limitations runs out. But it's a wild case, you guys. And when we think about also the 300 missing children that have been trafficked over our border, which the Biden administration doesn't care about finding or didn't care about finding. Pam Bondi talked about that at CPAC this past weekend too. This is all connected. It is all connected. The missing children from Haiti, the missing children from across the border, the kids that keep getting trafficked over and over and over again. It is disgusting. It is heartbreaking. And every single good person on planet Earth wants these evil people stopped. And I think it's just a matter of time until they are. God willing. All right, that's where I'm going to leave this video. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you in the next one. Thy will be done. Bye.